Hello, welcome to the best Smash Ups in Smash Up. This is a video series where we look at one specific faction in Smash Up and talk about which factions pair best with it. Today we're going to be looking at the Explorers. The Explorers came out in the What Were We Thinking expansion. I gotta admit, when I first saw stuff coming out about the Explorers, I was like, oh great, another movement deck, and also how beneficial is it going to really be to manipulate the base deck? And my first two games with them definitely confirmed those thoughts. But I kept giving them a shot, and I'm glad I did because I eventually found their power and realized this is one of the best movement decks. So today we'll start out by first analyzing what exactly the deck does, and then we'll get into the best factions that pair well with the Explorers. Let's get started. The first thing to note with the Explorers is that they're a standard deck, 10 minions, 10 actions. They've got 4 2s, 3 3s, 2 4s, 1 5. When we look at mechanics, there are 4 that stand out to me. The first is base deck manipulation. Your 4 Glory Hounds are going to do this. Look at the top 2 cards of the base deck, place one on the bottom of the deck and the other on top. Your Lost City cards are also going to do something similar. Special after a base score is revealed, the top 2 cards of the base deck. Choose one to replace the scored base and discard the other. That is 6 cards that will change up the base deck, so you'll have a lot of control of that base deck. Number 2, movement. There are 6 cards in the Explorers deck that move them around. Fortune and Glory, you have 2 of those. Choose a base, you may move up to 2 minions from there to another base. You call this Archaeology. Move one of your minions. Special, you may play this before or after a base scores. This is a great card, by the way. The fact that you have that flexibility of doing it before or after can be really helpful to either keep minions in the game or hop on a base last minute. You've got X never marks the spot. Move each of your minions. It's basically a full sale here. Idaho Smith, he's your 5 power minion. It says you may play the top base of the base deck and move this minion and any number of your other minions from here to there. Very strong as well. And then you can even move someone else with you. Choose 2 minions on different bases, move each one to the other's base. So 6 movement cards is a huge plus. Number 3 is extra minion play. You've got 3 Crypt Looters. They're gonna all be able to be extra minions here. After a new base comes into play, you may play this minion as an extra minion. Those are nice. And then going back to your Lost Cities, if you check out the bottom of the card there, play a minion on the new base as an extra minion. So when new bases come out, you're usually going to be able to slap something on it right away and be the first there. Very fitting for the theme. And then the 4th mechanic is going to be +1 power increases to multiple minions. Your 4 power guide here is going to say ongoing after the first time each of your minions moves in a turn, it gains +1 power until the end of the turn. And you've also got I Said No Camels. Choose a base, place a +1 power counter on each of your minions there. This also gives you the option to draw cards. But let's move into why we're here, the best Smash Ups in Smash Up. Our first combo we're looking at today, the Exploring Tornadoes. Now I know what you're probably thinking is a movement faction paired with another movement faction. Sometimes too much of one thing is a bad thing. In this case, because the Explorers benefit so much from movement, the Tornadoes are really going to help them. Reddit user WimD brought up some very good points, how the Tornadoes really help all of your exploring minions. For instance, your Crypt Looters and your Lost City cards. They're great, but a lot of times you're going to get stuck on a base that you don't want to be at because you just slap this down on whatever comes out. That's where the Tornadoes movement can come in handy. For instance, your 3 Twisters, you can move those guys to another base. Your Monster Tornado, you can move it to another base. Over the Rainbow, you can throw it there in the last second. Trade Winds, you can trade it with another person. Lots of movement cards that are going to be able to get those Crypt Looters and Lost City minions you used back on the base you actually want them to be on. Your Glory Hounds are nice, of course, being able to look at the base deck, but now you can look at it through a new lens. Instead of thinking, how can this help me? You can think, how can I hurt other people? Because with the Twisters, you're going to be able to move a lot of other people, move a minion to another base. We already saw Twisters, Monster Tornado. All of those are going to be able to move your opponents to other bases. Tornadoes will even help out your Idaho Smith card, being able to get them on that base where you're going to play him so that you can then move him to the new base, possibly scoring it by yourself. And I think it's pretty obvious how much more useful Guide is going to be with all this movement happening. With all the movement that these two factions provide, you'll be able to decide which bases are going to score and which ones aren't. Next up, let's take a look at the Miskatonic University of Explorers. This has always been an interesting deck in my mind because it does just so many different things. The main theme kind of is drawing madness, using madness, discarding madness. And yeah, it's a pretty fun deck. Let's take a look at how you can use it with Explorers. Explorers lack extra actions, and their extra minions are pretty limiting. With Miskatonic, you can play something like Gate to Beyond, which says play on a base, draw a madness card. You may play an extra minion here. You do this on a base that you don't want to score, and you can abuse Idaho Smith, you can abuse your guides, and just use all your movement cards that we've already looked at. Because of your guide, you can potentially get +3 to all your minions on a base, while giving +2 to your minions everywhere. And also, after a base scores, you can keep your professor in play using You Call This Archaeology, because you want to keep this guy out as much as you can. Discard a madness card. If you do, you may play an extra action and or an extra minion. You want that guy out as much as possible. This combo has basically everything you need: movement, extra draw, extra actions, extra minion, and a good amount of +1 power. Not only that, but you're also going to be surprising players left and right because you have 5 cards that are going to give you special before a base scores or after a base scores abilities. And finally, the Exploring Mythic Greeks. The Mythic Greek deck has a large variety of action, but what it's best known for is your Argonauts, which you can play as action, and then your 5 power minion and 4 power minions all have these great ongoing abilities. What makes this combo so powerful is being able to keep these guys in play. We've got Odysseus. After you play an action, place a +1 power counter on one of your minions. Jason, after the first time you play an action each turn, choose a base. All your minions there gain +1 power until the end of the turn. And Heracles, after any player plays an action, that minion gains +1 power until the end of the turn. Usually when these guys are out, people are going to be loading up their bases that they're on so that they get out of play quickly. But when you've got all these movement cards, it's going to be very hard for someone to do this. And this, once again, this card is just so awesome. The fact that you can keep them in play after the base scores, that's going to help you so much because you get to keep using these ongoing abilities. So once again, 3 smash-ups you should try in smash-up with your Explorers are Tornadoes, Miskatonic University, and Mythic Greeks. Thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the factions that were brought up. Once again, I'm very interested in player input. The Tornadoes today were suggested by Wim D. The Miskatonic University was suggested by Zyoka. And the Mythic Greeks were suggested by Nelligand. If you have other suggestions that you think will go well with the Explorers, go ahead and join the conversation on reddit.com. If you're a fan of Smash Up, you should really get on that, as well as the BGG forums. Additionally, you can leave me some comments down here and I'll be very happy to respond. Big in Japan is finally out. Got my copy in the mail on Wednesday. Already played a few games with them. I know there's a lot of excitement about this faction right now, but I'm going to hold off on doing any videos on these factions because I really want players to play these decks a lot of times before they start talking about the best pairings that go with them. So instead, we're going to start working our way backwards to the Cease and Desist expansion. First faction we'll be looking at will be the Star Roamers. I'll be posting a thread about these guys on Reddit as soon as this video is posted. Please help me out here, guys. I really have struggled with this deck. I always look at their cards and think, oh, there's so much potential here. There's so many cool things that can happen, but I just can't land them at the right time. I still have not won with these guys. Anyways, I'll be looking forward to what you guys have to say about the Explorers and the Star Roamers. Make sure you tune in next time, and if you like what you're seeing, be sure to subscribe.